I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. game on 4th inches.
Now it's time to go to work. What is going on, Florida State family, Seminole Nation, and the 863 tribe? Happy 4th of July to you. The fireworks have begun for the month of July, and I will say that we over here, we're betting 1,000. We're batting 1,000. I said betting. We're batting 1,000, meaning perfectly. All predictions have come true up until this point. We're going to talk about whoever you got this weekend. They even got one surprise in there. We also have a couple more announcements that have been planned out for the rest of the month of July. We'll go over pretty much the same stuff we talked about Friday, except we have some answers. We know where these guys are going. We know who the newest members of Florida State, or at least the newest commits, are for this year's class. We know who we missed out on, and those are guys that we kind of expected. We're going to talk about all of that. But welcome to the Hangover on this 4th of July. I figured why not go live, talk about the big weekend, right? 4th of July falling on a Tuesday, a little weird, but we're going to talk about the weekend that just passed, and we got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 commits. 4 out of 6. 4 out of 6. I say 4 to 6 is a pretty good number, man. But by all means, as always, hit that like button, subscribe if for whatever reason you're new, and share the video. We are live here on a Tuesday. It's been a while since we've done anything on a Tuesday, but we are live on a Tuesday. Like button, share the video, subscribe if you're new. Won't waste too much more of you guys' time. Let's get right into it. Let's hit that roll kizzle. So get in that chat. All 26 of you. We'll see how many more people trickle on in. But get in that chat. Make this roll call coming up shortly as my phone continues to go off. And yeah, man, you here. Most interactive show on YouTube. You here for Florida State fans. We in the building in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broward County Seminole. Will. Same 305. Island Boy. Born Legacy 22. Chad. Tyler Hedden. Brandon Bell. Truth be told. Kenny Ken. Jeff. Vontae. Michael Adams, Ice Cold No 06, Insane Mob, Smith 1095, Richard Black Shear, all in the building. Hit that like button. Mike Merrick in the building. Let's go. Rodarius Morgan. This was the surprise. This was the one that came out of nowhere, I'll say. At least as we talked Friday, nobody was tracking Rodarius Morgan that I had heard. Safety out of Phoenix City, Alabama, 3-star nationally, 5'45", 6 foot, 175, was being considered a Miami lean. Apparently, Miami was really high on this one. They scouted him, they liked him, they wanted him, thought they were going to get him, and lo and behold, Mario got stuffed in another locker. This won't be the only time we talk about Mario getting stuffed in a locker. We got another guy that we stuffed Miami for. But Darius Morgan is just recently committed within the last, 30 minutes, if that. Um, so solid safety get right there as we continue to probably sign a fairly big, everybody's talking about that wide receiver class, which we're gonna touch on again. But that secondary class might not be nothing to sniff at. And I don't think it's gonna be that small. I think you might have 4 or 5 DBs in this class when it's all said and done. And Darius Morgan adds to that. Haven't watched much of him because I just recently found out who this kid was. They are saying that he's a physical guy, likes to tackle. He's a little lean, probably will need to bulk up, but he's 6 foot, so that means he's got some height on him. I've seen people say they remind him of Jamie Robinson, which I gotta watch, but you say a 3-star in Jamie Robinson, that might make some sense to me. So that might be a solid comparison there. So Rydarius, or they call him Red Morgan, 3-star, just recently committed. This was probably the last one for the 4th of July weekend, but that shouldn't be the last one for the month of July. But that guy he just recently committed to the Seminoles. And before that, Elijah Moore, 4-star. We talked about him last episode, so I'm not going to go in all the details of what he is. Well, you know what? Yes, I will. 4-star Elijah Moore, national rank, 432, 6'4", 190 wide receiver out of the DMV area. Also announced his commitment to the Seminoles earlier today. This was one that apparently Ohio State was really big on. They liked him. Elijah Moore said in an interview that Heartline told him he compared to Marvin Harrison Jr., which is very interesting comparison, right? So we'll see if he's that, but he is committed to our Seminoles, and that again now gives us 5 wide receiver commits. I want you guys to write this down real quick though, because I'm gonna stand on this one. Tawaski Abrams will not be in this class. I am all but gonna guarantee it at this time. Write that down. Take a picture of that one. Post it on a wall. I don't care what you do with it. Tawaski TJ Abrams won't be in this class. As Elijah Moore commits, and then Tawaski Abrams, of course, he gets on social media, and he posts his upcoming visits for the season, something like that. At this point, I don't know why. I don't know. I think that guy's overplayed his hand, and I don't think Florida's interested in him anymore. For you to do that after you supposedly get a teammate to commit to you is a little whatever. But just write that one down. Tawaski Abrams again won't be a part of this class. But as of right now, Florida State does have 5 wide receivers committed. It depends on how you see McCoy. It's kind of being said that Florida State's looking at McCoy as more of a DB, while like a team like Miami, who is considered the top competitor for him, is looking at him as a receiver. I think his receiver tape is actually very good, speaking of McCoy. So it'll be interesting to see where Florida State kind of sees McCoy. But as of right now, again, 5 receivers committed to the Seminoles. Elijah Moore, love what I've seen from that one. I don't think he stays. He's already a blue chipper, but I don't think he stays as a low-tier blue chipper for much longer. I think he's going to get a pretty nice rating boost. We're talking about a guy who's big, long. Go watch some of his 7-on-7 stuff. He's one-handing everything out there. So he's big hands, big wingspan. Elijah Moore, man. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. And then you have... Let's talk about some of the missing. So today we also had James Madison, who I felt pretty decently that he was going to Mizzou. Said that much Friday. Then Kylan Fox, of course, he goes to UCF. Kylan Fox has some interesting comments. about playing with the best and winning a national championship. I don't know why you would go to UCF to accomplish those goals, but shout out to Fox. Going to UCF. UCF is putting together for their standards. They're putting together a solid class. We'll see what Gus does in the Big 12. And then Mizzou actually had like 2 or 3 commits today. The Missouri Tigers, and they get James Madison. Similar profile to Elijah Moore in terms of he's 6'3", 190. Moore 6'4", 190. So, 2 similarly built wide receivers there. So you miss out on one. But again, we told you Friday, he's Mizzou, Fox, UCF. So I don't think there's any surprises between those 2. So, yeah, there's that. James Madison, Kylan Fox both decided to go elsewhere today. But on the, what was it? The 2nd? Was it the 2nd? Yeah, the 2nd of July. Mario, that's when Mario first got stuffed in the first locker that we brought out. So this locker, we took him out of this locker and stuffed him in the locker today. But with the first locker we stuffed him in, well, that's for Ricky Knight III, 4-star athlete / DB, nationally ranked 402, 6 foot 168. And I mean, I told you Friday felt good about Ricky Knight. Here he is. Forget who it was in the chat on Friday, man. One of the Miami fans thought they were going to get Ricky, but they forgot that they had just took a 3-star DB the day before, so you weren't going to get Ricky. Ricky Knight's another Knoll, man. Another 4-star. So that's going to be, as of right now, 1, 2. And then D.D. Holmes was the first guy to pop on this weekend. Composite 4-star, again, nationally ranked 274. So he's the highest rated guy you signed this weekend. 6'6", 250 defensive lineman / DN, however they see him. Probably will be able to play either in or outside, depending on what the need's going to be at the time when he finally gets on campus, man. Oh, no, it was July 1st they announced too, by the way. Sorry, I said July 2nd. D.D. Holmes and Elijah Moore, both from the DMV area. It was said that they, I won't say that they were a package deal, but it was said that they both felt comfortable coming to Florida State with 2 other guys from the same area. So interesting development that happened there. And Florida State, again, man, 1, 2, 3, 4 for 6 on the weekend. I got to say that's a successful weekend. I mean, everybody hit that we expected to hit. And the guys that we missed shouldn't have been any surprise to anyone who listened or paid any attention. I don't know what anyone else was saying. I just know what I was saying. And we hit on what we got. We missed on who we thought we would miss on. But some other things came into clarity today. But before we move on to that, I haven't paid too much attention to the comments. So let me scroll, look at the comment section real quick. Again, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Let me see who's all commenting. And I see so Timmy asks, when did Miami start to chase Red Morgan? They actually were probably on him before we were.
Daddy, I heard something. It wasn't there. It was an asteroid coming from outer space.
It was a firework.
It's just sunny.
Yeah, but it was a firework.
A sunny firework.
No, but yeah, Miami was probably on him before we were. Jonathan who? If it's who you're talking about, no, he's not making his decision tonight. I don't know where you got that info from. But we are going to talk about Jonathan
That's not
doing
what
this.
it is. It's a meteor is
Okay, go look.
than a firework.
Okay, go look. It's not a meteor. It's a firework.
And it crashed into the earth. I keep on telling you that.
What else we got? If he committed to Ohio State, that would have pushed him to top 50. Jeff says, I wanted Fox, but at the same time, I'm not crying too much. Well, we got the number one tight end. Well, I mean, if you want, it's fair if you wanted Fox. I don't see a reason to cry over any of the guys we missed. There's no reason to cry over any of the guys you missed. Again, you have 5 receivers, so I don't know why you would cry over a James Madison, and you have the number one tight end. I don't know why you would cry over a Kylan Fox. Fox is a luxury. So, yeah, I mean, you might want a guy, but I think we're in a good spot. I think Surtain will get his flowers by the time this class wraps up. I sure hope so. Surtain's not getting any flowers until we see some DB play. Right. To Tyler's point, I mean, signing day isn't until after you see the DBs play. So there you go. Cam Coleman would have made a statement. Yeah, well, he's going to Texas A&M. That's not happening. There was some talks that Rodarius Morgan and Cam, they play at the same school. Maybe Florida State getting in there with this one was a way to, ingratiate itself more with Coleman, but that didn't happen. That was one of the surprise announcements today. Nobody thought Cam Coleman was committing on July 4th, but he did, and he did commit to Texas A&M. So Jimbo went and got him a 5-star wide receiver. Shout out to Jimbo. We'll see what happens. We need linebacker. I'm going to keep it positive today because we had a solid recruiting weekend. I'm not going to talk about what we missed on. We'll do that on another episode. We're not going to do that today. Let's move on. Obviously, Jonathan Daniels. So there was a lot of buzz on what was Daniels announcing today, what he had put out. There's going to be a big announcement on 4th of July. And a lot of people were speculating one or the other. There was a lot of talk about whether he was going to announce a commitment or just drop a top whatever. And he drops a top 3. I'm not going to lie. It's a little bit much to do about nothing. It's his recruitment, obviously, and he's allowed to approach that recruitment however he sees fit. Me personally, I was like, okay, I could have did without a top 3, but again, it's not my recruitment. He dropped a top 3 of Kentucky, Florida State, and Georgia, only for him to then say that he will be committing July 15th. He will be committing on the same day as Mekhi Danzy and Kevin Levy. That is July 15th. So that's another day to mark on your calendars, Florida State Seminole fans. July 15th, big day for the Noles, potentially with Mekhi Danzy announcing and Jonathan Daniels announcing and Kevin Levy announcing. I'm going to hold off comments on Daniels. Again, I didn't care for the top 3 announcement. I felt, bro, at this point, you could have kept that to yourself and just waited till July 15th and, did what he did. But again, that's his recruitment. Anything to get eyes and attention on you is how these young men operate in this recruiting space. We'll see, man. We'll see what happens on July 15th. I was really hoping Florida State shut this recruitment down today, but we didn't. But probably nothing to worry about, I would assume. We'll see what happens with Jonathan Daniels, though. And then again, Mekhi Danzy, he's announcing on July 15th. That's the Tallahassee native, nationally ranked 152 athlete / running back / safety. FSU, I believe, is recruiting him as a running back, track star type level speed. He's also going to announce on July 15th. Jalewis Solomon announced that he will be announcing on August 5th. That's the 4-star athlete / corner. This is the one out of all the guys that's left on our board. So here's the guys that are left on our board. We got Charles Lester on the 28th. Y'all know how I feel about that one. Jonathan Daniels on the 15th. Y'all know how I feel about that one. Even though we'll see what happens. But I feel decent about Jonathan Daniels. Mekhi Danzy, that's another one I think FSU should be favored for. And Kevin Levy, that's another one that I think FSU should be favored for. Jalewis Solomon is the one. He's the one that I said on Friday that I'm not so sure where he goes. But I don't know if to think FSU is going to close on all of these guys, and it's probably unlikely. Solomon announcing on the 5th of August is probably the guy that I would say. Again, I don't know where he's going to go. It's probably the guy that expect to not commit to Florida State. And then you still have Ty Hilton, supposed to announce sometime this month. I don't think he's announced yet, but we'll see what happens with him. So Daniels releases his top 3. That's the big news today out of his camp. Again, a little bit of lackluster news in my opinion. I don't think anybody cared. That for him to drop a top 3. But we'll see what he announces on the 15th. Solomon is visiting South Carolina the week before. So he's visiting right after the dead period. He's taking his visit to South Carolina. Again, I don't think we get Solomon. That's just my opinion. We'll see what happens on that, though. I think we might hit on everybody else. Feel pretty decent about everybody else. Hold on, got some comments here. Maybe I read it wrong, but yesterday he tweeted he was making a decision today. I could have been his top list, I guess. Yes, he just released the top 3. No decision today. His decision will be the 15th. Island Boy says, I noticed Daniel's list. He got us, Kentucky, and Georgia, but all I see is Kentucky and FSU fans beckoning him to come to the school. No Georgia. Wonder why? Because they're Georgia. Let's just call it what it is. Why does Georgia need to beg anybody to come to their school? They'll miss on Daniels and they'll get someone else. They'll be fine. Still doesn't feel like they're building any mo. Not displeased with the class, but we're not making a statement. Well, I'm not sure. I feel very good about this class. I ask the question because I've had this conversation with other people. I don't know what kind of statement we're supposed to be making. I guess the assumption is from a lot of people was the whole you win games, you recruit better argument. And I've always stood in the paint and told you, yes, there's some truth to that, but recruiters recruit. And when I look at this staff, I've routinely talked about some of the lack of recruiters on this staff. So I actually think the class is fairly good right now. I'm not displeased with it at all. I'm not sure what type of statement we're supposed to be making. We'll see. We'll see. Of course, the season is going to play out. I think FSU is going to have a good season. But if you're telling me we're going to start the season with Charles Lester with 2 5-stars committed, I'm feeling pretty. 2 5-stars committed. One of the top 5 quarterbacks committed. One of the top 5 running backs committed. I'm feeling pretty damn good about my recruiting class. I'm not going to lie. So I'm not sure what kind of statement we're supposed to be making, but I feel pretty damn good. No, I'm definitely not calling it a whiff on us. I never said getting Cam Coleman was a whiff on Florida State. I'm not sure who said that, but I didn't say that. Insane ask a question. Do you think a 4-star DN can get some early tick this season? And did this recruit help JP with the fans? You're going to have to ask the fans. Do I think a 4-star D this season? We don't have a 4-star. I don't think Lamont Green's the only one we got. I don't need know or want to see him year one. He's got to get bigger and stronger. And then yeah, I don't know what we don't have a 4-star DN that can get some early. Again, unless you're talking about Lamont Green, and I don't think there's a need for that. You're gonna be what you're gonna be depending on is your Gilbert Edmonds, maybe Jaden Jones. That's his name, right? Jaden Jones, a Byron Turner, Dante Anderson. Those are the guys you're gonna be counting on as far as younger players, and the defensive end rotation. As far as D.D. Holmes, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I don't usually do this, usually because I give credit to position coaches. But if you know anything about that area, I got to think Odell was pretty instrumental in recruiting D.D. Holmes. Don't know for a fact, but again, we used to be pretty much in that DMV area. Used to be a kind of like a second or third home at one point. I got to think Odell was instrumental in D.D. Holmes' recruitment. But you know, JP as ultimately he's the position coach. He'll get the credit. If we land 3 5-stars, which is very possible at this point, this is a statement class. And the offensive class is crazy good. It's a slight step in the right direction after this next season. I hope we keep climbing in recruiting. We made a statement with Landis Thomas. I think our biggest firework pops off during the season. Let's go. Get McCray or Pickett, and then let's get it. Says so. Shut up about JP. And then Timmy says, "You think if we get Lester and Bolden, they're going to start next season?" I'm going to. So KJ Bolden, that's something we can kind of talk about. KJ Bolden, I think, announced he's committing early August. I think it was August the 5th as well that KJ Bolden's going to commit. Probably as of right now, I would say that is, a Georgia-Ohio State battle. I know Florida State kept getting them on campus, but you didn't get them for an OV. The thing about KJ that got to give Florida State a little bit of optimism with KJ. I don't feel like, for instance, Charles Lester. I'm gonna use these two since you put out Lester and Bolden. I honestly hello. I think I unplugged the mic. Can y'all hear me now? I unplugged the mic for a second. I think I'm good. Lester has handled his recruitment in a very different way than Bolden. I honestly said this before. I think when Lester commits, you can never say never with any of these. I mean, we've learned over the years, so never say never. But I feel Lester, after committing on the 28th, I don't want to say he shuts it down, but I think he'll be very happy with what he chooses and whoever he chooses. And I don't know if he'll really entertain much after that because he's been so thorough up until this point. Whereas KJ, I feel like this is going to be a December ultimately a December decision, right? He has said that he wants to take his official visit that Miami game. Talking about KJ Bolden. So with that said, as long as you do everything right up until the Miami game, Florida State shouldn't have any worries. But he has announced a commitment on the 5th. To your question, if we get Lester and Bolden, are they going to start next season? It's hard to ever say whether or not a freshman is going to start off the rip. If I had to pick out of the two, KJ might have more of an opportunity, but who knows? I would say definitely both would be in a rotation next season. I don't know if I would have flat out say that either one of them would start. I'd have to actually see them on campus in the spring or something like that before I say, yeah, they both will start. No. Let's actually get them. Let's actually get them on campus. See how they look first. See how they look. No, sir, not me. What's going on with you? We can expect you scared to just commit to us after one good season. I do feel like if we start the season on possibly 4-0, this recruiting class will definitely make a big jump this season there. I think Florida State did a lot of good things last year. But I also think the same things that we say that people have criticized, the kids, the players, the prospects, they see the same things. They hear the same things. And what was said, good season, but they didn't really beat a team. Outside of LSU, they didn't beat a team that was, I guess you would say, was considered a good football team, right? They lost to the good football teams on their schedule. I mean, that's a criticism. That's a valid criticism. And Florida State has to now reverse that mindset this year. Again, I think maybe we have too many expectations with this recruiting. Again, recruiters get the job done. You're talking about some win losses and all that stuff. Well, recruiters recruit. There's no reason with Jared Verse playing the way he's playing and Pat Payton playing the way he played last year. There should be no reason, right? While our defensive end recruiting is as lackluster as it's been. If we're just being honest, right? Has nothing to do with the play on the field. That's everything to do with the person recruiting the position. So that's just an example of when I say recruiters recruit, what I mean. But ultimately, I agree with Broward County Seminole. Basically, what he's saying, like you can't expect after one good season to just now start, raining players. Let's show some consistency, and I don't think there will be a problem. The logo will recruit itself. Galaxy King, good to see you. Our resident Miami fan says Miami has to start hot, look decent early. This can be a top 5 class. We missed on Scott, but I like Lightfoot. We pulled in. You also missed on Ricky, but yeah. But you guys did get a good player yesterday. Shout out to you guys. Speaking of Odell, here we go. We made any moves toward getting Kamara? I haven't heard anything as far as those defensive linemen that you just named. No new updates that I've heard. D.D. Holmes. Can he play next year? He might. There's a chance. There is a chance that he could be asked to play. So the good thing about D.D. Holmes, let's talk about all these. Well, we'll just, as y'all ask questions, I guess we'll go over. But like a D.D. Holmes, right? The one thing you should be intrigued about him is there's not going to be any, for instance, Lamont Green, a guy that I think has a bright future. Well, Lamont Green's also on the little slim side, very similar to what Pat Payton was coming out of high school. You got to bulk them up and then they can play. Well, D.D. Holmes won't have that problem. So to answer your question, really, there's a good chance that D.D. Holmes plays year one because he's already 6'6", 250 pounds. So from a physical standpoint, he's going to be able to at least handle the grind initially, right? You know what I'm saying? And if he early enrolls, you get him in their conditioning program and you get him through a spring, and who knows, right? I think there's a good chance a guy like D.D. Holmes is playing year one, especially if we're talking DN. If we're talking D-line the interior, maybe they want to add some pounds on him. Maybe he won't play. But if we're strictly talking DN at 6'6", 250, he's going to play, most likely, because he has the size and the build already to do so. Chris Robinson, man, with the $10 dono. Appreciate you. He says, what up, Polk Orlando, on the check-in. What's going on, Chris? Appreciate you as always.
Tallahassee on with the Seminoles. I've been getting to this paper, focus on my goals. Trying to run his money up and pull up in the road. All this talking gangster, that shit getting old.
Tyler says, we wanted blue chips. Right now we have 11 committed to just 4 3-stars. Only problem is that every 3-star we have committed is on defense. I don't know if that was supposed to be funny, Tyler, but it was a little funny at the end that every 3-star we have. And yeah. Our Davey says, seems like John Daniels is really waiting on the green light from UGA. Releasing a top 3 was strange. I don't know if it's strange. I feel like it was unnecessary. I can understand why you think strange. Here's the thing, though, about that first sentence. What green light is he going to get between now and the 15th of July from Georgia? Again, you're talking about the Bulldogs. They don't get him. They get another guy. You saw what they did at tight end, bro. They lost Landon Thomas, and guess what they did? They went out and got the second highest rated tight end in the class. Then, of course, he moved to the highest rated tight end by some of the sites. So it's Georgia. If they don't get John Daniels, they'll get another guy. If I'm Jonathan Daniels and that's how I'm being treated by Georgia, then I don't know. Maybe that tells me a little bit about Jonathan Daniels. And I'm not saying he's doing that, but that's not how you should. You shouldn't be at the whims of the school. The school should be at the whims of you as the recruit. And if that's how Georgia's playing him, then Jonathan Daniels is already going about this recruitment all wrong. I don't think or know if he's doing that. I'm just addressing what you're saying. I mean, Galaxy. Oops, I clicked the wrong one. But your schedule's not hard. So, I mean, what is starting hot? I guess my question for Miami fans, just a random question off the topic of recruiting right now. But what is a hot start? Y'all play nobody except Texas A&M. So what? 4-1? That's a hot start? Okay, cool. Like, that's probably the expectation for y'all. I don't know. I still don't think y'all can beat Texas A&M, but you played them tough last year. But we know last year both teams were not very good. Jimbo's looking to have a bounce back. They hired Petrino. We'll see how that offense looks under those two. Y'all have them at home, so we'll see how that plays out. To say we have to start hot. This isn't like Florida State. Florida State's playing 2 top 10 teams in the first 4 weeks. What is Miami playing? Is Miami playing any ranked teams in the first 4 weeks? Like, what is a hot start should be? I mean, shoot, it should be guaranteed at this point. Y'all play in like the first 4 weeks. Y'all play with Miami of Ohio and like Bethune or so. I don't know. Y'all don't play anybody. Seriously, y'all don't play anybody except for like A&M in the first few weeks. I don't. That's not saying a lot, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And that could be the thing. I think, again, I just think the top 3 announcement was a little blah. But knowing that more Seminoles or potential Seminoles could be committing on the 15th, maybe you want to have that day be another day like this past weekend was. So that might be what the deal is. We'll see, though. We'll see. Let's get it. Says Georgia's got hella O-line about to commit in the next coming days. Galaxy says these Jits are waiting on the product on the field for us. Y'all had a pretty decent year. You can sell that product. If Mario can add the product to his talk game, we to 10. Why am I talking like FSU is all that? I don't know. 45-3 says we pretty much all that, though. Portis for president. I feel like Miami will go 6-6-7-5. We got there. Okay, so y'all having a whole total conversation outside of what we've been talking about in the chat, because it always somehow devolves into a FSU Miami pissing contest. There's nothing really to debate here as far as that goes. With that being said, Daniels is the one that kind of has everybody on iffy. The one recruitment that has people so iffy, but to me, I just don't feel like we should be worried about it is the Charles Lester thing. I get sick of seeing Charles Lester. First of all, the guy every day on social media, Charles Lester posts himself in like every team. So he'll have like multiple posts a day. It'd be in Colorado, Bama jersey, Florida State jersey. He'll do all of those. And for some reason, we just keep. Long story short, man, we gotta let what happened 2 years ago go. Like, let it go. Charles Lester. I feel very good about Charles Lester. And to me, the team to watch is Bama. I think it's going to be interesting to see what Deion does in Colorado, because he's pulled 2 top corners the last 2 years. I don't know if he can pull 3, but we'll see on the 28th. But even with that said, we're going to have to see. Like, I don't know what Cromartie really does this year, because he wasn't an early enrollee at Colorado. So he might not have much of a – he might not play much year one. He may not. The thing about Hunter is what is he? Is he a receiver? Is he a corner? I think that's one of the biggest issues with Travis Hunter. I have switched my position on him. I think he is a receiver first and foremost. He just his ball skills are that great, where I don't know if he has the physicality, even though you can argue you don't need to be physical to play corner. To some degree, maybe. I lean towards wide receiver with him. If I'm a DB, I mean, I think that luster has had to wear off to some degree. But we'll see. We'll see how these guys play at Colorado in the Pac-12, which is a pass-happy league. So if you talk about DBs getting showcased, well, they're going to have an opportunity to be showcased playing for the Colorado Buffaloes. Maybe not in the best of ways when you talk about going against Pac-12 offenses and the type of quarterbacks they're going to be going up against. It's going to be interesting to see what's going on with Lester. But a lot of Florida State fans can't let that crap go. Stop crying about Charles Lester and what everything he does on social media. You'll be okay. You'll be okay. Tyler says he wants Danzy bad. Davius. Let's see. Davius says JP sucks at high school recruiting and Odell is too old. We need a young D-line recruiter. Let's get Manny Diaz too. FSU. There's been talks of Manny Diaz coming. He is an FSU alum. I would not be against that. As a matter of fact, with all due respect to Adam Fuller, because again, the guy has. I'm not in the Adam Fuller fan club, but I am in the Adam Fuller support network. And what I mean by that is I support Adam Fuller until proven otherwise, in the sense of the guy's he's improved the defense year and year since he's been here. You got to give him credit for that. But if you asked me would I want Manny over Adam, I probably would give you and say, yeah, give me Manny Diaz over Adam Fuller for sure. I don't think we get Jalewis Solomon. I said that, but I could be wrong there. They're not really Colorado fans. We know what fans they are. They're not Colorado fans. We know what fans they are, and it is what it is. They're going to follow Deion where he goes, but they're not Colorado fans. They didn't exist up until now. Just scrolling. Yeah, and y'all talking about Manny Diaz. So I don't want to waste I'm not going to talk too much time about what we're not doing on the recruiting, because I feel like there's too much going right to complain about what's not happening, man. There's some good stuff happening on the trail. We should, honestly, this class, I think, this class up until this point is probably the best class they've had. Now, I know they had that class a couple of years ago with Sam and Travis Hunter going into the season, and that was a top 10 class, I think, going into the season. And that class ultimately was really good, even with Travis Hunter dipping. That was that Julian Armella class. That's the Jalen Early class. That was that big O-line haul that we got there. A lot, as well as AZ's in that class. Sam, even though Sam's gone, Sam's in that class. That was still a very good class. This class to me is going to be, as of right now, I think, especially once if you add Lester and Daniels and Dance, I mean, you finish how we think we're going to finish. I don't know, again, what statement we're trying to make, but that's a pretty damn good statement as far as I'm concerned, as far as the recruiting up until the season starts. I think that's the best that we've seen this staff recruit since they've been here, in my opinion. But trying to think. Yeah, I mean, that covers pretty much everybody we got left for the month of July. I know Tyler said he wants Makai Danzy bad. I want Makai Danzy too. I think Danzy is Danzy's going to be a good what's the word I'm looking for, y'all? You got Cam, you got Danzy. They complemented. There you go. Danzy's a good complement to what Cam's bringing you as far as running backs. I love that pairing. You get Makai Danzy, that shuts your running back recruitment down for the rest of the year. You ain't got nothing to worry about there. Daniels can finally give us some momentum. There's a few positions that I do think we lack a little momentum, and I'm not gonna reiterate we know about the defensive side of the ball, y'all. That defensive side of the ball, it needs a rehaul. It needs some retooling. We're talking staff wise over there. The recruiting on the defensive side of the ball shouldn't be the way it is. But offensive line, man, has not looked, at least, I won't say it doesn't look good. And I know it's Atkins, and we're not going to criticize Atkins because he's done what he's done. He's taken nothing and made it, what it is today. So there's no criticism of Atkins coming. I'm just want to be clear. But I will say we don't seem to have a lot of momentum on some offensive linemen. I think Daniels is pretty pivotal, man. I think it's kind of critical that they can close on Jonathan Daniels, man, because you missed on kind of your two other big-time O-line prospects there. With Zamandela and that other kid out of California. Their only leeway, or whatever you want to call it, that I'll give the O-line recruiting is it's not a good O-line class across the board. This year's offensive line class is not considered to be very good. It's very possible that you kind of try to pick who you can pick, scout some guys that you might like, and then you hit that portal in the offensive line recruiting at the end of the season. It's my guess, right? So if you let's say, for instance, we only take Jonathan Daniels and Ty Hilton. Well, we only took two O linemen last year, in Simmons and Otto. So they're just going to go into the portal, I think, and retool it that way. Plus, you still have all of those guys that committed 2 years ago. Next year, a lot of those guys are going to be looking to see the field. Julian Armella, Jalen Early, Dontre Richardson, Kanaya Charlton, Quayshawn Sapp. That class right there is about to start pushing and raising the floor and pushing some of the other guys maybe that, we'll see. We'll see. As O-line room's healthy is my point, but I think we don't have a lot of momentum on offensive line recruiting, but that's also because I don't think there's a lot of guys out there that they're in love with on the offensive recruiting, which is why I don't think you see a huge board there, I guess is what I'm saying. There you go. Good compliment. Y'all know what I was trying to say. Yeah, Kodiak has been okay. He's Kodiak is in an interesting position because he coaches running backs, but he's kind of also our Louisiana plug. And I think getting Dustin Hill actually here is huge for Yak. And that could be one of those situations. The Dustin Hill effect, I'm going to say, is going to go so much deeper than football, especially if he's a success. If Dustin Hill comes here and he's a success, he gets drafted to the league. Maybe he wins some ACC accolades, or maybe depending on his success, or just him being here, getting a 4-year degree, or whatever Dustin Hill does here is going to be so pivotal, because any other school would have dropped him. They would not have wasted their time with him after 2 years. They would have said, you know what, we're just going to move on. And I don't think anyone could blame anybody for just saying we're going to move on. Hell, I was calling for us to move on because I was just sick of the rumors. But them holding on to that, actually getting him here, and then word on the street is he's the real deal. That's going to go a long ways with coaches, parents, other players, especially in that Louisiana, New Orleans area. And they're going to sit here and they're going to say, I know one thing. I know Mike Norvell and Coach Yak got me if I go to Florida State. I know for them it's deeper than just football. I mean, I think that's the kind of vibes that Dustin Hill and that whole situation would give me if I was a young kid down there going through the same thing or whatever. Or just not even going through anything crazy, right? But just getting recruited by them. I can say, man, look how they did this guy who came from where I came from. And they kept their word and they stuck by this guy. I know they'll at least do the same for me. So, shout out to Yak, man. I think Yak is an integral part. I said all that to say I think Yak's an integral part in all that whole situation. Oh, hold on. Dang. Don't be clicking on the stuff I'll be clicking on. There we go. What do you think of JoJo Trader? And do you think we get him? I think Trader's a dynamic athlete. He's a 5-star for a reason, obviously. Do I think we get him? Let me take a drink. Because I'm going to be different. Yeah, it's pink. So what? Every FSU outlet, content creator, beat writer, they'll all tell you the same thing. Florida State's in the lead for Trader. They told you the same thing about Wesley Bassant, too. I'm going to be honest with you. It's too early for me to call right now, and I want to see how his recruitment plays out. But if you ask me right now, I don't think Florida State gets Trader. And you can listen to whoever you want to listen to, and you can. I'm gonna just be honest with you from my standpoint. If you ask me right now, if they had to commit tomorrow, I don't think Florida State would get Trader. I think there's a lot of misinformation, I'll say, going around. So I think he's interested in Florida State, absolutely. I also think he's highly interested in Miami. I think Miami is where he wants to play. I think it may come down to a business decision. For instance, with Bassant, I don't know, man. Like, I always felt, no matter what everybody would tell us about Bassant, I always felt like that That's Miami. And it's the same. I just have the same feeling. I can't give you any valid reasons other than my gut feeling and how I think this is playing out. But everybody that's saying Florida State, I just think they're being pushed along. What do you think about Brian Courtney move over to backer from tight end? Talked about that on Friday, but yeah, that's a move that I kind of called for a year ago. Maurice Lovelace says, not gonna lie, I'd rather have a high-powered defense than a high-powered offense, but hopefully this offense can cook. So hot the D has less pressure. I am a believer in defenses as well. That doesn't mean you can't have a high-powered offense. One thing that I push back on the most when we start talking about this, because this becomes a conversation, man, with FSU circles. And I honestly feel like these people, they want to excuse the poor defensive recruiting. And they excuse it by saying, well, under Mike Norvell, FSU is going to be more offense-oriented. Man, you can do both. We had Jimbo Fisher here, and don't tell me that Jimbo Fisher wasn't more offense-oriented. We had Jimbo Fisher here, and somehow FSU was able to recruit both sides of the ball at an elite clip. But for some reason, with Mike Norvell, where you can only recruit one side of the ball at an elite clip or a good clip, I don't buy that at all. Okay? I don't buy it at all. We can do both. You don't have to choose one or the other. You don't have to be good on offense and bad on defense, and vice versa. You can recruit both at Florida State. You're in the hotbed of recruiting. You can recruit both. So for me, I would love to see our defensive recruiting pick up. And the notion that you only can choose one or the other, I think, is a cop-out. Just reading some of y'all comments right now. What's going on, Peter? I was just reading some of y'all comments, but a lot of y'all giving reasons on Bassane and all that stuff. Look, I hear you. Marie says, I agree 100%. Got to have both. And FSU has had elite sides of the ball in the past. Newsflash, most teams, when they win, they have elite side. Can you show me? Let's because we go back to this. Can you name me a national champion that was just good on one side of the ball? Most teams that win at a high clip have good players on both sides. Not just good players, but really good players. So, again, this is the problem I have with our media guys. It's the problem that I have with our beat writers is that they always try to cop out on something. Florida State under Mike Norvell is just going to have more resources towards the offense. Okay. Well, first of all, if Mike Norvell's the offensive mastermind that we say he is, he should tell himself, you know what, I can scheme up some shit. Why don't I give those resources to the defense? That's my thought process. That makes more sense to me than I need to hog all the resources on my side. And Adam Fuller's not going to get the opportunity. Adam Fuller's not going to get the resources on their side. I don't buy it. You can recruit both sides elite. And if you say LSU 2019 was only an offensive team, come on. That's like saying 2013 was only an offensive team. Since when has LSU not recruited big-time players on the defensive side of the ball? Don't get it confused. Don't let, just because the team had a great offense, make you believe that they didn't play defense. LSU was not just a one-dimensional football team. That is not true whatsoever. Just like Florida State 2013 was not a one-dimensional football team. You can have both sides. You can have both sides and win. Personally, what do you think our position of need will be after the season and heading into the 2024 offseason? I think receiver is going to be interesting because you're going to at least lose Johnny, Coleman, Winston Wright, and that's just the guys that you know. You're probably going to lose a Darian Williams, like some of these guys that just haven't got it at this point. Darian Williamson, who can't, Joshua Burrell. There's a chance maybe you lose anywhere from 3 to 5 wide receivers. That's probably going to be a position of need. But you're going to have a big receiver class plus last year's class, which was 4 deep. So you had a big class last year by all. I mean, Dustin Hill, you can pretty much count him a part of last year's class. He's a freshman, right? Dustin Hill, Hakeem Williams, Vendravius Jacobs, and Goldie Lawrence. Add that to, I think, the 5. I think that Florida State takes 5 this year. I don't see us taking 6 unless you're telling me that 6th guy is a trader or a Jeremiah Smith, right? Unless you can convince me that we can pull one of those, I think you're going to get 4 to 5 at the most likely another 4 this year. And that's 8 receivers right there. So, but they'll be very young receivers. So a wide receiver will probably be a position to need. Obviously, they're going to have to find a quarterback. That quarterback should be on the roster right now. But not so much of finding a quarterback, but which one of the guys steps up that you have. You have a healthy quarterback room. You're going to have to find which one of those guys is ready to take the step. Running back room should be healthy. O-line room should be good. Tight end should be good. Defensively, linebackers are going to be a question. You feel pretty good about your linebackers this year. Next year, linebackers are going to be a question. And probably your pass rushers. Verse is gone. I don't know if Pat is here after this year. Depends on the type of redshirt sophomore campaign Pat has. If it was the case that Fuller ain't going to get support because we're offensive minded, he better be looking for the exit. That's another thing too. Like if that's the narrative you're trying to push, is that FSU under Norvell is always going to lean towards the offense. You say Fuller should be looking for the exit. I would say Florida State can't lose Fuller if that's the case, because who are you going to hire? What defensive coordinator worth his weight in anything is going to go, yeah, I want to go coach at Florida State where I'm going to get half of the fucking resources that the offense is going to get. Adam Fuller, you better keep him around because at least he is happy with his situation. Like, I don't think sometimes when these guys say things, I don't think they understand or know what they're saying, and when they put it out there. Just logically, you saying that Florida State is pushing all the resources to the offensive side of the ball over the defense. I don't know, man. Standard is the standard. The train ain't stopping now. I'll say only defensive coach that safest or tame because he just got here. Unlike Bobby, Odell has stayed long enough to become the villain. It's so funny to see so many people joining the evil, the dark side of the Odell argument. And everybody just told me I was so wrong. And now here we are. You can't name a coach. Again, you said LSU was in the 30s. You can argue 30 out of 150 teams if that's a bad defense. If I have the highest scoring offense of all time, 30 is not a bad defense. 30s is a good defense. Is it great? No, it's a good defense. Again, when I talk about these offensive teams, I think of a Lincoln Riley team who can't stop anything, and the Chip Kelly, who I think is one of the better offensive coaches of the past 2 decades, especially at the college level. He's never won anything because he doesn't care about defense. Lincoln Riley doesn't care about defense. Rich Rodriguez was another one of the greatest offense at West Virginia ever assembled. Didn't care about defense. When you don't care about defense, you're not going to win. So you can look at all overall defensive rankings or just look at the players. Again, LSU recruits defensive players at a better clip than a lot of these teams we just mentioned. I don't count 2019. Yes, 2019, they will always be identified with Joe Burrow and all of that. But the notion that they didn't have a good defense, I don't agree with. He is committing on the 15th, Panama. He just released the top 3 today of Florida State, Georgia, and Kentucky. So there's that. And then Tyler says, Randy, JP, and Odell should be gone at a minimum. But Fuller needs some killers. That's your whole defensive staff. Other than Surtain. So let's just call it what it is. The defensive staff needs to be rehauled. Now, I've given up on the Odell stuff. I've told y'all, I don't think Odell goes anywhere until he wants to retire. And the only thing you can really give credit, I think one thing saving Odell's job is the development of the position. And that's gonna depend on, I mean, we've seen where Fabo has come. Coop never took that step. Speaking of Robert Cooper. But it's gonna really depend on Joshua Farmer, Daniel Lyons, and some of these guys. What steps do they take? But that's really the only thing saving that man's job. But again, I won't even say that. He's not going to fire Odell. Odell's not going anywhere until he decides to retire. Randy's an interesting one because you could argue that the defense as a whole improved when Randy Shannon became co-DC. How much of that was Randy Shannon's doing? How much of that was just guys more tenured in the defense knowing what they're doing? Probably a little bit of both, right? It did seem like when Randy came over and took that co-DC at a job that the defense improved as a whole. So we'll see there. And then JP's probably the one guy who, I mean, you hired him when you got here, but you can make a move. It's probably time to make a move there. Anthony says, I don't think Odell is recruiting at all. I don't hear not one recruit he's recruiting. Not saying 21 on UGA was all defense, but the defense carried that team. No, absolutely the defense carried the team. Listen, if you ask me, give me a mediocre defense. Give me a mediocre offense and an elite defense over an elite offense and a mediocre defense any day. It's been proven that those defenses can grind it out and win you something. All you need is a couple guys all you need is a Brock Bowers on offense if you're Georgia, and a Stetson Bennett to do the right things in 2021. That's all you need. And a defense that's absolutely suffocating everything else. But Florida State, I think, wants to build a team a different way, and maybe we'll go with the mediocre defense and an elite offense. We'll see. I think if that's the recipe, I'll be honest with you guys. And I know we've gone a little bit different avenue of conversation. But if that's the recipe for Florida State, is we're going to invest everything in offense and we're going to become elite offensively and we're just going to get by on defense, we're going to be fun to watch, y'all. We're going to win a lot of football games, regular season games. We might make an ACC championship. We might win an ACC every few years. We're not going to – you might even hit the playoffs a couple times, which is a 12-team playoff. Like I said it before, Florida State should be in a 12-team playoff almost yearly. I don't know if we win in a natty that way. I don't know if we're winning any real hardware where you tell me, Florida State, man, this is Mickey Andrews. I mean, what more do I have to say? Like, this team has been built on its defensive players throughout its history. Yeah, we've had some good offensive players, but the defensive players have been Hall of Fame caliber. Like, okay, Jameis Winston, Charlie Ward, good players, especially college players, right? Great college players, Hall of Fame college players. But our defensive players went on to be pro football Hall of Famers, the Derrick Brookses and the Deion Sanders and the Leroy Butlers. Like, that's how we built this thing. Are y'all somewhat annoyed we aren't grabbing more top guys at a higher clip after the season we just had? I feel like we should have – this is the same thing Bradley was saying, and again, I just disagree. I don't know what y'all's expectations were. Did y'all think we were supposed to be – I don't know. I don't know what y'all expectations were. You're talking about a team that right now has more blue chips than 3 stars, has a chance to finish off July with Lester, Daniels, Danzy, and Levy, which would give you 2 5-stars, whatever you think Jonathan Daniels is. Again, I think he's a 4-star. On3 has him a 5-star. But one of the top O-linemen, the second highest DB, the top tight end, a top 5 wide receiver, a top 5 quarterback, a top 5 running back, 5 receivers committed. I don't know. Again, no knock on Zoe, but I don't understand what y'all want. Y'all, I guess y'all think we supposed to be. I honestly, you know what it is? I think y'all looking at Florida, and instead of Florida State fans caring about what we do, y'all caring about what other programs do, and you want to be able to have these like bragging rights. Man, I don't care about none of that. Not only are we going to have the best team on the field, recruiting is going to finish where it's going to finish. I'm not paying attention to what Florida's doing because there's good luck trying to get that stuff to stick. I'm not caring about what Miami's doing. We're out recruiting them right now, but I'm not caring about what Miami's doing. I'm not caring about any of that stuff. I already explained it. Like, we didn't beat, other than LSU, we didn't beat any good teams last year. That's something to negatively recruit Florida State about. That is the facts. Yes, we had a 9-win season, a 10-win overall season. But you lost to Clemson. You ain't been Clemson in damn near a decade. You lost to NC State when you should have won that one. And you lost to Wake. Those are the 3 ranked teams you played. You lost all 3. Very hard to spin that in the recruiting stance of if I'm whoever, hey man, Florida State had a good season, but who they really beat? They're like that's how you play it. No, I'm not saying Mike does. I'm saying, but that's the narrative that's been put out there. To no fault of Mike Norvell, but that's the guys that y'all are listening to, that y'all pay subscriptions to. They're the ones that's putting that spin out there. I'm just saying, if that's the case, then here we are.
it by accident. Sorry.
Sandra, I haven't seen you in a minute. How are you doing? Oh, Sandra posted a super sticker. Thank you, Sandra, for the $3 sticker. Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, more money, yeah, more money, yeah.
Yeah, again, I think guys are paying so much attention to what other schools are doing and not paying attention to who we have landed, who we have left on our board. I don't know, man. It's very similar to when we beat LSU last year, and I had people come in this chat after that game and tell me they were pissed off that we beat LSU because we didn't win the way we were supposed to win. That's how I'm feeling about this recruiting talk right now. You're not recruiting how I want you to recruit, so we suck right now. Even though we have a top, I think we moved back up into the top 15 with the addition of Elijah Moore. I don't know. Let me check real quick. But you're talking about a team that right now is a top Top 15, number 14 right now. And guess what? We're number 14 with only 3 stars. 3 stars, 1 5-star, 10 blue chip players. So 11 total blue chip players and 3 stars. Look, if you look at who's ranked ahead of us, Stanford has 21 3 stars and 27 commits. Stanford's class is done. That number 13 ranking is not going to stick. Nebraska, right below us, 18 3 stars, 5 4 stars. That's not going to, 23 commits. That's not going to stick. Okay. North Carolina, 19. Like, bruh, I don't know why we're unhappy. We're recruiting right where we need to be. We are okay. And we're at a 90 average. So we're right up there with the Tennessees of the world, with LSU. We actually have a higher average than LSU, and LSU is ranked number 10 in the country. Higher average in Oregon, and Oregon is ranked number 8. But Oregon and LSU have 18 commits. Florida State has 14. Like, bruh, we are fine in recruiting. We are fine in recruiting. Do we need to recruit certain positions better? Absolutely. But as a total class, with the targets that still remain on the board, I don't understand what the problem is. Jeff with another $10 donation says, I think our defensive staff has the resources. This is much as the offensive staff does. It says the recruiting has been on the offensive side of the ball. You fix defense recruiting, and we'll be fine. I don't disagree with you, Jeff. Again, I'm just telling you what's being pushed. I don't disagree with you. I don't think Florida State is giving all the resources to the one side of the ball. But that's the excuse that has been put out there by the media, is that under Mike Norvell, they're going to get more resources on the offense, and it's why the defense is struggling. Instead of just saying we need better recruiters, but see, they don't want to say that, because I can say that because I don't have any credentials, I don't have any sources, I don't care who I piss off, because I don't get any information from these people. So if I come out here and I say Odell should have been forced to retire 5 years ago, it doesn't matter. I'm nobody. If they say it, they risk alienating somebody in that locker room. Now they can't get the inside scoop they want. So what they have to say is they have to spin it away so where they can not criticize, but kind of justify why things aren't going the way they should be going. At the end of the day, I think both sides of the ball gets the resources. I just think one side has better recruiters and the other side doesn't. Hell, Florida State's defense was better than its offense last year. So you can't say, oh, Florida State's getting all the offensive players because the offense is just better. Our defense actually played better than the offense last year. Our defense did enough to beat NC State. Our defense held a Wake Forest team to its season low. So offense got to pick up in terms of on the field, but recruiting-wise, they're getting all the players. Just had better recruiters over there. What's going on, champs? So, yeah, I mean, you're talking about a team that right now is ranked in the top 15. We are at number 14. And look at the teams that we're around. We're literally better. And Ardarius Morgan ain't even been added to that. So he would be a 3-star. So technically, Florida State has 4 3-stars committed, 10 4-stars, and 1 5-star. FSU's fine, y'all. We are fine. We are fine. I wonder if Bama, you know what's crazy? I wonder if Bama is ranked number 25 in the country in recruiting. I wonder if they're saying the same things that Florida State fans are saying right now. Like, we're Alabama. We should be doing all of it. Because Bama knows that they're not going to finish number 25 in recruiting. Texas is number 28. I wonder if they're sitting back saying, man, we need to be doing so much better in recruiting. Florida State fans need to pump the brakes. We are fine right now where we're at. It is July, and we are complaining about recruiting. We are good. We are good. Offense has more players that will go to – hold on. What are you talking about? Offense has more players that will go to the NFL next year. That's why more offensive players. I don't think that has any correlation to the recruiting. We have – I'm trying to think. Johnny will go to the NFL. Coleman will go to the NFL. Trey Benson. I'm talking about players that I think will get drafted, right? Those 3 guys. Jordan Travis probably gets drafted somewhere, just not sure where. So that's 4. Jaheim Bell, maybe. I think it depends on how he plays this year. He's going to test very well, but he's going to have to put some production. So 5 offensive players, at least skill position players. And then you go to defense. Of course, Jarrett Verse. Maybe Braden Fisk, Fabian Lovett. You could argue it's almost even. Pat Payton, depending on how he plays. That's like 4 on the defense, 5 or 6 on the offense. Again, I don't think that's any correlation. I don't even know if Toffoli goes to the draft after this year. But again, that has nothing to do with, I think, guys that's getting recruited this year. Because again, our defensive ends have been good since Jermaine. Every year we've had top defensive ends in the country, but that hasn't helped the defensive line recruiting. Jermaine Johnson went year 1, went first round. Jarrett Verse will go first round. That hasn't helped defensive line recruiting at all. It has nothing to do with who's getting drafted right now. It has everything to do with who's recruiting. And with that said, we did a tough hour in 30. I just want to get on here for the 4th of July, man, and talk about these new Noles. And we hit everybody that I thought we were going to hit, and we missed out on the 2 that I thought we were going to miss out on, but that's okay. But we got to still look forward to Jonathan Daniels on the 15th, Mekhi Danzy on the 15th, Jalua Solomon August 5th, Ty Hilton I don't think still hasn't announced, and Kevin Livy on the 15th, and then Charles Lester on the 28th. The month of July can still be really big for the Seminoles down the stretch here. So if you enjoyed this, man, haven't done a hangover in a while. Y'all know I don't like to go too long on these. Hour and 30 is that sweet spot for me. Hit the like button, comment, subscribe if you're new, and share the video, man. Let's continue to build the community up, and up, and up. But we are out here, man. We have done and accomplished the goal that we have set out to accomplish. Florida State has started the month of July 4 for 6 on the trail. That's 4 new guys, top 15 class. For some reason, we still got Seminole fans that ain't happy with recruiting right now. I can't explain it, but maybe some of y'all can. As always, it is your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. I want you guys to stay classy. Hit that like button again, subscribe, and share the videos. Go Noles, and we are out here. I will catch y'all again this weekend. I promise you that.